Let's start with a fact that sounds fake, but absolutely isn't. The most famous mystery writer in human history became a real-life missing person in her own unsolved mystery. Not a metaphor, not a promo stunt, an actual disappearance. Police, manhunt, newspapers, losing their minds. This is Agatha Christie, the person who taught the world how to suspect everyone, including herself. She sold over 2 billion books, invented some of the most iconic detectives ever, my personal crush, and basically turned murder into a cozy intellectual sport you do with tea. She's the reason we all side-eye dinner parties. She's the reason every locked room mystery exists. She's the reason your favorite crime podcast owes royalties to the 1920s. And yet, despite being the queen of plot twists, her own life was messier, sadder, funnier, and way more unhinged than most of her novels. She wrote about poison better than doctors. She disappeared without telling anyone. She quietly reshaped pop culture while pretending she was just telling stories. Today we're breaking down who she actually was, why her mind worked the way it did, and why, a century later, she still owns the algorithm of suspense. This isn't about murder, this is about control, chaos, and the comfort of certainty in a world that had none. Agatha Mary Clarissa Miller was born in 1890 in Torquay, England, a seaside town that looks peaceful enough to absolutely hide a crime. She was homeschooled, she taught herself to read early. She grew up surrounded by books, imagination, and a quiet sense of being slightly out of sync with everyone else. And here's the key detail people skip. Agatha didn't grow up dreaming of murder mysteries. She wanted to be a musician, a pianist. She failed, not dramatically, just didn't have the itch. That failure matters because it nudged her toward writing, a thing she didn't even take seriously at first. Then World War I happened. Agatha volunteered as a nurse, then worked in a hospital dispensary, meaning she learned exactly how poisons work, how they were absorbed, how long they took, and how they killed, This is why her poison scenes are terrifyingly precise. Not dramatic poison, clinical poison. After the war, she published The Mysterious Affair at Styles and introduced a strange little Belgian detective with a mustache that looks like it has opinions. Hercule Poirot. He became iconic immediately. Then, life hit her. Her mother died, her husband cheated on her, he asked for a divorce. And in 1926, Agatha Christie vanished. Her car was found abandoned. Police searched the countryside. Newspapers went feral. 11 days later, she was found in a hotel, registered under her husband's mistress's last name, claiming memory loss. To this day, no one knows if it was a psychological breakdown, dissociation, revenge, or quiet protest. She never explained it. She didn't need to. Think of early 20th century Britain like this. Victorian certainty has collapsed. Science was advancing faster than ethics. The old class system was cracking. Women had survived a world war, and were told to go back to being quiet. Modern analogy? Imagine Twitter after a global crisis, but with no block button and way more repression. People wanted order. They wanted logic. They wanted answers that made sense. Agatha Christie gave them something radical, a world where chaos looked solvable. Every crime had a structure. Every lie had a flaw. Every truth could be reached, if you paid attention. That was revolutionary. Before Christie, crime stories were often melodramatic or moral sermons. She said, what if murder was intellectual? Her stories aren't about violence. They're about patterns. Gen Z analogy? Her books are like escape rooms for your brain. What they said, it's a simple wouldn't it? What they meant, I will manipulate your assumptions and then expose you. She weaponized expectation. Christie doesn't hide information, she gives you everything. But she knows exactly how your brain will misfile it. She understood cognitive bias before psychology TikTok did. You assume the narrator is honest. The obvious suspect is guilty. The nice character is safe. She says, wrong. Let's talk the murder of Roger Ackroyd, my personal favorite. No spoilers, but this book revered detective fiction. What they said, that ending is clever. What they meant, that ending changed the genre forever. Writers were furious. Readers were stunned. Rules were rewritten. She proved you could break conventions and be fair. That's mastery. Wait. Pause. Let's acknowledge how wild this is. Agatha Christie watched her marriage collapse, vanished during a mental health crisis, came back, refused to explain herself, remarried a younger archaeologist, traveled the Middle East, casually wrote the most read books on earth, and did all of it without branding herself as a genius. No tortured artist persona, no manifesto, no interviews trauma dumping. She just wrote better than everyone else and left. Honestly, that's the most intimidating part. Christie didn't just entertain, she professionalized mystery writing, elevated genre fiction, proved women could dominate global publishing, normalized logic in storytelling, gave people psychological comfort during unstable times. Her books sold in wartime shelters, on trains, in hospitals, in prisons. They reminded readers chaos can be understood, even if life can't. True crime? She's the blueprint. Crime shows with the twist, Christie DNA, therapy culture's obsession with patterns, same instinct. Online discourse? We still argue like Christie plots. Who's lying? Who's manipulating? Who's hiding something? She trained us to read between lines. And honestly, that skill never stopped being relevant. So here's the part people miss. Agatha Christie wasn't obsessed with murder, she was obsessed with order. Her life was full of uncertainty, emotionally, socially, psychologically. So she built worlds where chaos obeyed rules, where truth existed, where endings made sense. That's not escapism. That's survival. She didn't write to shock, she wrote to stabilize reality. And maybe that's why her stories still feel comforting, even when they're dark. You don't need to love murder mysteries to care about Christie. Her work asks, how well do you actually observe? How often do you assume instead of analyze? How much of reality do you filter through bias? In a world of noise, she teaches attention. In a world of chaos, she teaches structure. That's not old-fashioned, that's timeless. Agatha Christie didn't just solve fictional crimes, she solved a deeper problem: how to make uncertainty feel manageable. So, here's the challenge. The next time you're convinced you know what's happening, pause and ask yourself, what am I assuming? Because that question built an empire.